Welcome to Decoding Spiritual Warfare in Business, the show where we expose the enemy's attack on your identity so that you can find freedom and experience breakthrough in your business. And now here's your host, Jeff Elder.
Okay, so for 9 days, you have been learning, you've named the battle, you've reclaimed your identity, you've stood firm, you've put on the armor, you've corrected your lens, and now it's actually time to fight. Not fight in a way that you used to, desperate, exhausted, performing, but fight from authority, fight from clarity, fight from alignment. Today, we talk about what happens next. Today is Activation Day. Welcome back to the podcast. This is the final episode of this 10-day series. And I want to start by asking you something. Do you feel any different than you did 9 days ago? Because you should. You walked in here thinking you had a business problem. By day 3, you understood it was actually a spiritual battle. In day 5, you realized you didn't have to fight it alone. By day 8, you had actual armor. By day 9, you corrected your lens. And that's not small. But here's what I know about transformation. Understanding something and operating from something are two different things. You can know the battle is spiritual and still fight it like it's tactical. You can understand your authority and still operate from permission seeking. You can have clarity and still make decisions from old patterns. Today, we bridge the gap. Today, we are going to move from understanding to action, from knowledge to operation, from learning to fighting. Because the final piece isn't insight. The final piece is activation. And I realized something years into my business that completely shifted how I operate. I had been through my own collapse. I had rebuilt on truth, and I had started coaching other kingdom entrepreneurs. I understood spiritual warfare intellectually, but I wasn't actually building differently. I was still operating from the same old patterns. I was still measuring by some of the old metrics. I was still making decisions from some of the old fears. Understanding the battle intellectually and fighting the battle operationally are not the same thing. So I sat down and I asked myself, if I actually believed everything I'm teaching, if I actually believed my authority is secure, if I actually believed my calling is from God, if I actually believed the battle is already won, how would I build? What would I stop doing? What would I start doing? And what would I do differently? And I wrote down everything. The content I'd stop creating, the clients I'd stop chasing, the opportunities I'd stop forcing, the pace I'd stop trying to maintain. But more importantly, I wrote down what I'd start doing, the boundaries I'd set, the people I'd prioritize, the decisions I'd make differently, the way I lead, the legacy I'd focus on. Then I made a commitment. I'm going to operate like I believe this. Not eventually, not when it feels comfortable, starting today. And friend, that's when everything changed. Not because I learned something new, but because I finally acted on what I already knew. The content I stopped creating, the revenue didn't drop, it actually increased because what remained was more aligned and more powerful. The clients I stopped chasing, the new ones started coming because I was operating from authority instead of desperation. The opportunities I stopped forcing, bigger ones opened because I was obedient instead of controlling. It wasn't magic, it was alignment. When your operations match your understanding, when your actions match your beliefs, when your daily rhythm matches your calling, everything stabilizes. That's fighting back. It's not just understanding the battle, it's actually operating from your victory in it. Here's what I want you to understand about activation. For 9 days, we've been building your spiritual infrastructure. We've named the battle. We've recovered your identity. We've taught you to recognize resistance. We've equipped you with armor, and we have corrected your lens. That infrastructure is critical because without it, you'd just be making surface level changes that won't stick. But infrastructure alone isn't enough. You also need operation. And operation is where most people fail because operation requires decisions. Operation requires boundaries. Operation requires saying no to things that look good but are not aligned. Operation requires being willing to look different from your competition. So let me give you the framework for fighting back. First, audit your current operation. Look at your business as it actually exists right now. What are you doing? How are you spending your time? What decisions are you making? What relationships are you maintaining? What pace are you keeping? Don't judge it yet. Just audit it honestly. Second, measure it against your real lens. Remember day 9? You corrected your lens. You decided you decided what success actually means to you. Now, measure your current operation against that lens. Which things are aligned? Which are not? Which decisions are moving you toward your calling? Which are moving you away? Which relationships are building you up? Which are draining you? Which opportunities are kingdom aligned? Which are just lucrative? Third, make the hard cuts. You're going to find things in that audit that don't align. Things that looked good, things that produced results, things that you feel obligated to continue. I want you to cut them anyway. Not dramatically, not recklessly, but decisively. Because you can't build forward with aligned operations if you're still carrying misaligned weight. This is where most kingdom entrepreneurs fail. They understand the battle. They know they should cut misaligned things, but they don't, because cutting things is hard. But I'm telling you, every misaligned thing you keep is energy the enemy can use against you. Every obligation you maintain that's not kingdom aligned is the door you're leaving open. Cut it. Fourth, build in alignment. Once you've made the cuts, now you build, but you build differently. You build from authority instead of desperation. You serve instead of hustle. You obey instead of control. You protect your rhythms. You prioritize people before profit. You move slowly on things that don't feel clear, and you move quickly on things that do. You say no easily because you know what you're saying yes to. You're going to measure completely differently. You evaluate opportunities differently. You're going to make decisions differently. You see, this is operating from your victory instead of fighting for it. Fifth, protect what you've built. Remember day 8, your armor, your daily preparation, your rest as a weapon? That doesn't stop. In fact, it becomes more important because the moment you start operating in alignment, the enemy's going to try to pull you back. He'll create urgent opportunities. He'll create pressure to compromise. He'll try to convince you that you need to do more, hustle harder, chase bigger. That's when your armor, your clarity, your authority becomes your defense. You stand. You don't move. You protect what you built. 2 Timothy 4:7 says, I have fought the good fight. I have finished the race. I have kept the faith. This is the posture of someone who fought well, not perfectly, but faithfully, from alignment, from authority, from knowing what they are fighting for. Philippians 4:8-9. It says, finally, brothers, whatever is true, whatever is honorable, whatever is just, whatever is pure, whatever is lovely, whatever is commendable, if there is any excellence, if there is anything worthy of praise, think about these things. What you have learned and received and heard and seen in me, practice these things, and the God of peace will be with you. Understanding is step 1. Practice is step 2. Operation is where peace actually lives. 1 Corinthians 6, verses 13-14. Be watchful, stand firm in the faith, act like men, be strong. Let all that you do be done in love. This is the call. Watch, stand, act, be strong, and do it all from love, not fear. So I want you to take some time with these final questions. What is one thing in your current operation that is not aligned with your corrected lens? What's one thing you're doing, maintaining, or pursuing that doesn't serve your actual calling? And I want you to name it. Why haven't you cut it? What's keeping it in place? Fear, obligation, habit, money, status? Be honest. What would become possible if you cut that one thing? What would open up? What would shift? What is one thing you need to start doing aligned with your calling, your authority, your identity in Christ that you haven't started yet? What's one step toward operating from your victory? So, here's where we are. You came here 9 days ago saying, my business feels stuck. I'm doing everything right, but nothing's working. I feel this pressure I can't shake. I'm confused. And I told you something you didn't expect. The problem isn't your business. The problem is a spiritual battle you haven't been naming. Over these 9 days, you've learned to see it, name it, stand against it, equip yourself for it, correct your lens about it. And now you know something you didn't know 10 days ago. You finally understand what's been fighting you, the confusion, that was resistance, the pressure, that was an attack on your identity, the exhaustion, that was you fighting in your own strength instead of standing in God's authority. The fog, that was spiritual warfare at the thought level. But here's the second part of the transformation. You're not building alone anymore. You have authority, you have armor, you have clarity, and you have a corrective lens. You have a framework. You have an understanding. But more than that, you have access to the one who already won the battle. You see, you're not fighting to win. You're operating from a victory that's already been secured. That changes everything. So, what now? Now, you go back to your business. You audit it. You make the hard cuts. You build in alignment. You protect what you built. You operate from your authority instead of your anxiety. You lead from your identity instead of your insecurity. You build from your calling instead of your confusion. And you do it knowing that you're not alone in it. That battle doesn't depend on you. That your obedience matters more than your outcomes. That's what fighting back looks like. Not frantically, but not desperately, but from a place of authority and alignment. This is where we leave you. But this isn't where your journey ends. This is where it begins. But you're equipped now. You're clear now. You're positioned now. The real work, the operational work, starts tomorrow. I am praying for you, praying that you'd step into the authority you've reclaimed, that you'd make the cuts that need making, that you build what God's asking you to build, that you lead with clarity instead of chaos. I believe in you. You got this. And you're not doing it alone. So I want to say thank you so much for being here for all 10 days. And I meant every word in this series. This isn't content to consume. This is a battle to win. And I believe you're ready. So now, go fight. Lead from identity, operate in authority.